second degree. Appearances for the record, please.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Erin Wilman, P82085, appearing on behalf of the people.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Lisa Frederick, P53372, appearing on behalf of Mr. Nevers.
Your name for the record.
Corey Nevers.
Mr. Nevers, why don't you come before the t-shirt?
Sorry. I had a misunderstanding that I was supposed to be calling from Zoom.
Yeah, we covered that on Zoom. So you thought it was supposed to be via Zoom. I told you in person. You came down in the t-shirt. Did you think that was appropriate dress for the court? So this is personal event?
Sorry.
So this is personal event?
I made a mistake. Sorry.
We ready to proceed?
The people are prepared to proceed, Your Honor. We would ask for a mutual order of sequestration with the exception of our officer in charge, Detective Samuel Mackey.
Any objections to the vice president? Ladies and gentlemen out there in YouTube land, if you are a witness or potential witness in order, you can log off. This time it doesn't appear to be any other witnesses. How many witnesses do you have? 2. Any preliminary announcement before we call witnesses?
Yes, Your Honor. At this time, the people would move to admit the medical examiner's report pursuant to MCL 766-11B as in boy.
Any objection?
Your Honor, we just requested it be for exam purposes only.
I'm not going to read the entire. Oh, thank you.
No.
I'm not going to read the entire report, Your Honor, but I do just want to summarize a few points before I ask for permission to publish to the court. This is the postmortem report of Josiah, Josiah Nevers, Nevers. The ME case number is 21-9446. The date pronounced dead, August 11th of 2021. The autopsy was performed on August 12th of 2021 by Dr. Lokman, Lokman, Sung, Sung. And a partial summary is that it is my opinion that the death was caused by diphenhydramine toxicity. I'm going to publish this to the court, which outlines what that particular medication is, outlines that in the report. Ultimately, in this particular case, the ME opined that the decedent's liver diphenhydramine concentration was nearly 10 times greater than the reported therapeutic average. Diphenhydramine is an antihistamine with sedative properties. And additionally, there were multiple abrasions in various stages of healing on the head, neck, back, and right and left arms and legs. There were cutaneous bruises on the chest, abdomen, right arm, and forearm. Internally, there was bleeding under the skin on multiple regions of the scalp, both temples, and superficial bleeding on the pancreas. There was a laceration of the liver. The manner of death is indeterminate. Permission to publish to the court?
Yes, please.
May I approach?
Yes.
With that, Your Honor, the people would like to call their first witness if the court's ready.
Yes, I am.
The people call Renisha Slaughter.
Please raise your right hand. You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Please have a seat with the spots right next to me. Your voice is nice and loud and speak to that microphone or be to your left. Just yank it over. Just yank it over.
Record of the individual that is Jamie Buckles. She is our victim advocate.
She looks familiar.
Yes.
Hi, Jane. Maybe begin when you're ready.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Can you please state your name for the record?
Nisha Slaughter,
How old are you, Ms. Slaughter?
28.
Do you have any children?
Yes.
How many children do you have?
3. 2.
Okay. Can you tell me the names of your 3 children?
Kaylani, Marcel, and Josiah.
Can you tell me Kaylani's date of birth, please?
11/16/60.
What is Marcel's date of birth?
4/11/18.
What is Josiah's date of birth?
5/7/19.
Do your 3 children have the same last name?
Yes.
What is that last name?
Nevers.
Do they all have the same father?
Yes.
What is the name of your 3 children's father?
Corey Nevers.
Do you see that person by the name of Corey Nevers in the courtroom today? Can you point to that person and describe something that they're wearing?
A green.
Thank you. Your Honor, please let the record reflect this witness has identified the defendant Corey Nevers.
So no,
You mentioned when you testified, answered a question a minute or 2 ago, that 2 were living.
Yes.
Which 2 children are living?
Kaylani and Marcel.
Josiah passed away?
Yes.
When did Josiah pass away?
8/11/2020.
Sorry, Ms. Slaughter. Do you remember the last time you saw Josiah before he passed away?
Yes.
So I want to talk about that a little bit. When was the last time that you saw Josiah?
On August 6th, 2021.
Do you happen to recall what day of the week that was?
No.
So you said August 6th.
Yes.
So tell me where it was that you saw him.
Well, the last place I saw my child was at his father's house, right before I left.
So take me through that date of August 6th. Approximately what time do you first see Josiah?
That I'm not entirely sure. I know we got to Chuck E. Cheese and that around 1, 2 o'clock. So I picked him up. Well, I got to the apartment around like 10-ish, 11, and spent time with them before taking him to Chuck E. Cheese.
So you said the apartment. Whose apartment?
Corey's apartment.
How did you get to Corey's apartment that day?
I took a Uber.
Do you remember the address of Corey's apartment?
I believe it's 1138 Neglectful Road or something like
What city?
that. Detroit.
Was there a specific apartment number?
Can't remember his apartment. I always knock on the same apartment.
That's okay. So you get to the apartment. Who's at the apartment when you get to the apartment that day?
Just for
Where were the kids?
anyone in their room.
How long were you at the apartment before you ended up leaving to go to Chuck E. Cheese?
Probably about an hour, maybe less, to wait on our Uber. We, of course, played and talked and that sort of thing for Chuck E. Cheese. It wasn't just an immediate thing.
So an Uber comes to get you guys?
Yeah,
So who actually went to Chuck E. Cheese that day?
myself and my children.
So Kaylani, Marcel, and Josiah?
Yes,
Mr. Nevers did not go to Chuck E. Cheese with you that day?
he said.
Was there a specific, I'll strike that. What Chuck E. Cheese location did you go to?
There
Do you remember what you and the kids did when you got to Chuck E. Cheese?
we walked in, we got our, I guess, the wristband, and we were scanning before getting our food. Well, the wristband, that's what, we got wristband.
Did you and all three kids have this band?
Yes.
And you said you got some food, did I get that right?
Yeah.
Did Josiah eat that day when you were at Chuck E. Cheese?
He did.
Do you recall what type of food Josiah ate?
Cheeseburger, pizza,
Did he have anything to drink?
juice.
What about Kehlani
They had the same thing. Pizza and cheeseburger and juice.
and Marcel?
Same thing.
Did you eat that day?
Yeah.
What did you eat?
Pizza, cheeseburger, juice.
So were you all eating from the same food items?
Yes, we should.
How long would you say you stayed at Chuck E. Cheese?
Roughly an hour and a half. It was supposed to be half the day, or, until they got tired, but Josiah was a little crabby, so I paid for her.
And you said, Josiah was born on May 7th of 2019. So on this date, he would have been 2 years old, pretty freshly too? Was it uncommon for him to get cranky in the afternoon? Now, during your outing to Chuck E. Cheese that day on August 6th of 2021, did Josiah appear to be, from your observations, to be unhealthy or sick? Did you see Josiah throw up? Did you see Josiah have any type of diarrhea or anything to that effect? Was there anything that you noticed about Josiah on August 6th of 2021 that seemed unusual to you?
Well, he had a bump, a bruise and a bump on his forehead, on, I believe it was this side, and then on his face as well, but it was healed. And I had previously asked Mr. Nevers what happened, and his account for what happened was that he fell off the bed while playing rough.
Saying what?
While playing rough with my other two children.
And you motioned to your face. Can you motion again where you saw that kind of bump?
It was in the part of his eye, going from the forehead all the way across.
Okay, thank you for the description for that. Did it to your, when did you ask Mr. Nevers about that?
This was, about a few months, like month 2, or, yeah, it's like month 2 of him living with him. I noticed the bruise, but this time at Chuck E. Cheese, I noticed that there was also a new, what do you call it, knot. It wasn't just a bruise on the side.
And you're pointing to your forehead kind of above the eye, is that accurate?
Yeah.
Now, as it relates to Josiah's behavior, did you notice anything unusual about his behavior?
I just felt like he just needed to go home early because he was just using stuff.
So we already talked about the kind of bruise and little knot that you saw. Did you see any other markings on Josiah's face that day?
Other than the knot and the bruising on his eye.
Anything on either of his cheeks? Anything on his nose or forehead? Just what you described to the court, that's the only thing that you saw that day, August 6th of 2021? So I want to show you what has been marked as people's proposed exhibit 2. May I approach the witness?
Yes.
Proposed to. See this okay?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just gonna kind of set it right there. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, can you tell me what I'm showing you here?
Josiah and Chucky Cheese.
Okay. And do you recall who took this picture?
Myself on
What date was this picture taken?
the 6th.
Of 2021?
Yes.
And is this what Josiah's face? We're gonna take a second. Is this what Josiah looked like when you took him to Chuck E. Cheese on August 6th of 2021?
Yes.
This is what his face looked like?
Yes.
Is this what legitimate people do?
Any objection?
For exam purposes only, Judge?
Admitted?
And is that what Josiah's face looked like when you dropped him back off at his father's?
Yes.
You shouldn't have published, Judge.
Yes.
I normally would have these printed, my apologies. Now, while I'm just getting into this before I publish, do you need a second, Ms. Slaughter?
Yeah.
I can give you a second.
Okay.
Okay. When you went to Mr. Navar's apartment before going to Chuck E. Cheese that day, were the kids already dressed?
Yes.
They were. You didn't dress them that day?
No, I don't.
Judge, I'm gonna share screen. I'm gonna share screen for the record.
Okay.
Just very briefly, since I don't have a printout for you, Judge.
That's fine.
And publishing people's too. And that's the photograph of Josiah that you took on that day, Ms. Slaughter?
Yes.
And I'm stopping share.
Where's that knot that you're talking about? That be over the, I guess, the right eyebrow?
Yes. Need any further, Your Honor?
No.
Okay. Stopping share for the record. Judge, I'm gonna stay in the Zoom meeting because I'm gonna need this for the next witness.
Okay.
So after you guys finish at Chuck E. Cheese's, where do you go after that?
Home.
And where's home?
Well, I dropped them off with their phone, and then I went back to my hotel that I was staying in the extended stay called Wood Spring Suites, 14 Mile Road in Madison Heights. I took my Uber back there. Resumed, I usually like.
And we'll talk about kind of the living situation in a second, okay?
Okay.
So you and the 3 kids took an Uber back to that Greenfield apartment on Greenfield
Yes,
in Detroit?
yes.
Did you, get out of the car when you got back to that apartment?
Yeah.
Tell me kind of what happened when you dropped them off.
Well, I gathered up their things and, car seats and all of that, and I brought it up the stairs to his apartment. I dropped them off and gave him some of the pictures that I had taken printouts at Chuck E. Cheese. I gave him some of the pictures and also saying my goodbyes to the children. And I also as well called my Uber at the same time, getting correspondence so I could go home.
And when you say him, just for the record, who are we talking about?
Corey.
How did Corey seem when you dropped the kids off?
To be honest, like his usual self, he would be just to himself. He didn't talk much. He diverted eye contact with me a lot. It was just, he was just his usual self, but he was diverting eye contact more than I previously noticed. I was giving him the pictures of the children and he barely made any comment towards the pictures.
So you two didn't really conversate a lot when you dropped off Josiah, Kehlani, and Marcel?
I would be in the room with the children, refrigerator or something. He'd be in the living room playing the game or whatever he was doing. I was entertaining the children.
So was it common for you to go over there and see the kids?
Yeah. But at the time I was living in a motel, not a motel. I was living in a hotel and it wasn't suitable for 2 small children as well as Josiah. I had bunk beds for them there, like toddler beds for them there, but I was told that wasn't suitable enough for them to be able to spend nights, so they were primarily for it.
Now, during that day of August 6th of 2021, did you ever give Josiah any type of medication? And I know this is maybe a silly or hard question, but did you ever physically assault Josiah on that day of August 6th of 2021? So we were talking a little bit about your living situation. And you told us where you were living back in August of 2021. Do you know how long Mr. Nevers had been living in that apartment on Greenfield?
To my knowledge, he had only had it for a year and a half when we got back in contact for him to take the children for the weekends. He had only had it for about a year. So I'm not sure.
So you testified earlier about the beds that you had for the children at the hotel and it was not considered suitable.
Yes.
Is that the reason that the children were living with Corey full time?
Well, that was later decided after I moved from one of the hotels I was staying that was more suitable to that one due to, me losing my job and everything. I had to downsize and that hotel was suitable for a boy and girl to share.
So how did it come about that then the children got into Corey's care primarily? Was that a discussion you two had amongst yourselves?
Yes, we had a discussion over the phone.
So did you guys make that arrangement with each other?
Yes.
No courts involved? How long have the children been living primarily with Mr. Nevers at that apartment on Greenfield?
At that particular time, it was about 3 going on 4 months.
So at the time of August of 2021, it had been about 3 or 4 months?
Yes.
Okay. Prior to the children primarily living with Mr. Nevers, who was their primary caretaker? So so now we're gonna talk a little bit about prior to the August 6th of 2021 date. Do you remember the last time that you saw Josiah before that date?
I don't remember the exact date, but I do recall seeing him before.
Do you remember where you saw him?
At At the time, it was the hotel that I was staying in the room.
Was this the first hotel that you were staying in?
This was the second one before. The third one was Wood Street Suites.
Would the children sometimes visit you at the hotel?
Yes. And that hotel actually had a section of the hotel that they could sleep separate, in separate beds, and it was more suitable then, so I was able to give them all.
Do you know where Corey was working back in August of 2021?
Hollingsworth,
Do you know what that is?
I believe it's a staffing company.
Do you happen to know, only if you know, what type of shift he worked?
I believe he went in at night and got off in the morning. I'm just not sure exactly what it said.
Did you ever have a conversation with Mr. Nevers about who would watch the 3 children when he would go to work overnight?
Yes.
Who did he tell you would watch the children?
Well, at first, he told me that he had been leaving them at home alone by themselves. Unbeknownst to my knowledge, he had been leaving them home alone. I told him that somebody needed to be there with the children, you know, while he had to be gone overnight. And if it was a nuisance to him, or if it was too hard, that he could just drop the kids back off to him. And we could just part ways with the 50-50 if it was just gonna be my kids not being watched by anybody. I was just gonna have to make arrangements for them to stay with me primarily. But he was adamant that he found someone, he found the babysitter, which was the person that I knew at the time. And I was comfortable with her babysitting, and she even confirmed herself that she was the one babysitting.
Did she confirm that she was always babysitting for him on those overnight shifts?
That, no, that wasn't clarified. I was under the assumption that he might have had somebody to trade off with. Because at the time, we didn't have the best relationship, so he wouldn't tell me certain stuff, and I felt like it was intentional at the time to keep me away from certain information, of knowing who was watching my children while I am not there.
So at some point, were you in a dating relationship with Mr. Nevers?
Yes,
How long did that dating relationship last?
3 years.
Do you recall, when that ended?
I was 5 months pregnant with Josiah.
Josiah was the youngest.
And you, talked a little bit earlier about the kids being home alone overnight. So Josiah, you already testified, was 2 in August of 2020.
Yes.
How old would Kehlani have been based on her date of birth?
4.
What about Marcel?
3.
Was there a day that you learned something happened to Josiah?
Sorry, I don't understand the question.
Do you remember what day you learned Josiah passed away?
Yes,
What day was that?
August 11th, 2021.
How did you learn that information?
I was taking out the question, and they told me there, while questioning that he had already been deceased.
When you say they took you down for questioning, who was that?
I don't know, but my Detective Biddle is the only name that stands out to me. So Detective Biddle, I believe, is the one that told me that he was the one, I guess, examining me or interviewing me.
Do you remember where that interview was conducted?
Downtown at one of the precincts, I'm not sure, like where they take people for questions, I'm not sure.
Oh, that's okay. Now, prior to you being informed during the time of this interview that Josiah passed away, what were you thinking at this point was Josiah's status?
unresponsive.
Had you received any communication from Mr. Nevers on August 11th, 2021?
Yes,
Can you tell me about that? What type of communication?
it was, started through Instagram call. Well, no, it was Instagram text, and then he called me on Instagram.
So Instagram text, you remember if this was morning, afternoon, night?
This was in the morning, towards the like 11-ish.
And do you recall what the text message was pertaining to?
Just
And can you tell me what you remember it stating?
that he was sick. And he needed to go to the hospital.
Did Mr. Nevers ask you anything about Josiah?
He asked me for his medical information regarding like his Medicaid at the time, the Medicaid number and that sort of thing.
Did you give Mr. Nevers that information?
I did. I gave him the policy number as well as Josiah's first, middle, and last name.
After that text communication, did you receive any additional texts?
No, he just called.
Did you talk to Mr. Nevers when he called you?
Yes,
What did Mr. Nevers say to you?
that he needed me to call out.
Did Mr. Nevers tell you why he needed you to come by?
I couldn't understand it. And I hung up the phone after that because I couldn't understand it, and I called back. He was there.
How many times did you try calling back?
Numerous, honestly, I lost count.
After that one time that you did speak with him on the phone, did he ever pick up the phone again? What did you do at that point once you're not getting a response?
I called him.
Where'd the Uber take you?
To his apartment.
When you get to the apartment, what do you see?
Caution tape and police taking off the entrance way to the apartment.
Did you see Mr. Nevers? Did you see Mr. Nevers on the scene on that area when you pulled up? Did you see Kaylani?
In Marcel, yes.
You saw both your other children. Did you see Josiah? Did you ever see Josiah after he passed away? Just 1 second, Judge. Thank you, Ms. Slaughter. That's all I have for you right now.
Prosecution.
Good afternoon, Ms. Slaughter. I don't know what to begin by saying, I'm sorry for your loss. I have questions for you, and I'd like to start with, you said that your housing situation had been deemed unsuitable. Who was making that decision? At the time, I was in contact with a former CPS worker. She had become someone that I relied on to get information from regarding the case with me and Mr. Nevers, the domestic case that we had still open. And I wanted to know that if it was okay for the children to stay with me primarily, rather than stay with him, and due to the fact that I can have 2 separate beds for the children, they were key to stay with me. Well, 3 separate beds at the time.
So when you say deemed, what you mean is that this was the opinion of a person you know that works at CPS?
Yes.
Do you have any open CPS reports, or have you ever been sanctioned by CPS?
Yes, 2024.
Can you tell me when?
Once was on Kaylani was 1 year old.
Okay, so once when Kaylani was 1, at the time of this incident, she was 4.
Yes,
So that was 2021, so you're talking maybe 2018, 2017?
and the other time.
Am I right?
Yes,
Okay, the other time?
the other time, it was 2000, trying to remember.
How old were the children?
Kaylani, at the time, of the second CPS case, she was 3 and 1.
So this had to be around 2019, 2020.
Yes. I had another CPS case, but this time it was because of an incident with myself. I tested positive for marijuana in my system with Josiah, even though I did not smoke marijuana throughout my entire pregnancy, and I had to open another CPS case.
And so that positive test is a result of a doctor's appointment or something like that?
No, it was when he was born, it tested.
Okay.
So it was around 2019 that I got the second CPS case.
So is it safe to assume that you were on a unit, meaning you and the 2 oldest children lived together with Mr. Nevers as a family at some point?
Yes.
Okay, and when you lost your employment, you guys split up.
No.
What happened?
We came to a verbal agreement while we were sitting in the living room that I was going to move to the shelter, or move to a shelter for women. And at the time, I was pregnant, 5 months pregnant with Josiah.
Okay,
I agreed to move to a shelter at the time while he took Kaylani and Marcel with his mother.
okay. And this conversation or this decision is based on financial reasons?
At the time, it was on my end, it was a sole decision to be able to get on my feet and get Section 8.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, you're saying that you decided that in order to advance, you would have to go into a shelter, he would have to take the children, and then after that or through that process, you would be able to get Section 8.
Yes,
So this was a maneuver to get to where you're trying to go.
yes.
Okay.
And at the time, I was going to a shelter that Kaylani and Marcel weren't allowed. They were no children.
That's fine. I understand. So how long did you stay at the shelter?
I stayed there for 3 months. It was a 90-day program.
And based on the circumstances in 2021, you hadn't yet achieved the Section 8 and got home.
Not at that time.
And so that is the reason why the children were primarily in Mr. Nevers' care and custody.
Yes. Absolutely.
Now, you had indicated that Mr. Nevers diverted his eyes away, and that was typical of him.
Yeah.
Is it, in your opinion, Mr. Nevers shy?
Yeah.
Is Mr. Nevers in any way challenged intellectually?
I wouldn't say challenged intellectually, but more so introverted.
Introverted. Okay, and you spent 3 years in a relationship with him?
Yes.
Have you ever known him to be violent?
Not to the point of hurting anyone, but with his words, yes, he has.
You've never seen him be physically violent with anyone? Would you characterize him as a good father?
At the time,
Would you characterize him as a loving father?
yes, at the time.
Now, let me take you to your understanding of the child care situation when he was at work. So you knew that he was working nights, yes?
Yes.
And you knew that he didn't have anyone to take care of the children at some point, correct?
Yes, at some point, he made me aware.
Okay, and when you became aware of that, what did you do?
I asked Mr. Nevers if he would need me to take the children primarily, if it was going to be too much for him, or he was going to have a proper child.
But if he said yes to that, where would you have kept them in light of the fact that you couldn't keep them where you
I would have to figure it out.
You would have? Okay. Now, you said that you and him discussed, you and Mr. Nevers, discussed a temporary or intermittent evening or nighttime caregiver. You told me that. You said that, yes?
Yes.
You said she. What was her name?
Samaya.
Samara?
Samaya.
Samaya
Schroeder.
Schroeder?
Yes, that's her last name.
And is she a friend of the family or your friend, or how do you know her?
She's a sister.
She's his sister?
Biological sister.
Now, when we saw the picture or the photograph of Josiah, was that when you noticed the knot on his eye?
Yes.
Had you had them before the 6th at any point in August?
Yes.
When did you have them last? Or should I say before the 6th?
I can't recall the exact date.
Okay, did you have them in July?
Yes.
You took them out?
I didn't take them.
You just, when I say had them, I'm thinking took them somewhere. So did you visit them?
Yes.
Is that a better way to put it?
Or they, at the time, they might have visited with me, but sometimes.
So that would be you had them, they visited you.
Yes.
Sorry, I apologize for that. Okay. What I was trying to find out is had you picked them up from Mr. Nevers and took them to your hotel for outings?
Yeah.
When was the last time you saw them before the 6th?
It was sometime in July.
Okay, and did you notice any injuries? Excuse me, did you notice any injuries on any of these children?
Just the, bruising on Josiah's eye.
Okay, and you had 2 boys, yes? Did they ever tussle, roughhouse, and play like that?
Yes.
And have they ever accidentally been hurt playing around?
Yes.
And you didn't see how this injury occurred to Josiah's face?
No, I didn't.
So when you made a decision to move to the shelter, you also made a decision that Mr. Nevers was capable of managing 3 children, yes?
Yes. Well, actually.
And what, no, I'm gonna ask you another question, okay? And what particular characteristics gave you the impression that Mr. Nevers was capable of managing 3 children under 4? Or under 5?
At the time, he was not managing the children with us, it was 2, it's great.
Okay, so at some point, it became 3 children that he was managing under 4.
Yes.
Okay. Did Mr. Nevers have furniture in the home?
Yes.
Did Mr. Nevers have food in the home?
Yes.
Was the home heated?
Yes.
Did the windows open?
Yes.
Was there water?
Yes.
And you indicated that he had some access to telecommunications, so you could speak to him.
Yes.
So have you guys ever, as a family, a father and mother, parents, given the children medication? Never, nothing for colds?
I have given them things for food that was prescribed by the pediatrician.
Nothing over the counter? Never went to the store and got Nyquil, Robitussin, any of that?
It would have been with the children,
Yeah, they make them for children. So I'm asking, have you ever purchased that?
not for my children.
Okay. And so if and whenever they got sick, you took them to the doctor?
I got the okay from the pediatrician, what to prescribe them.
You said Josiah became cranky at a certain part of during your outing together, is that correct?
Yes.
When you say cranky, can you describe what that is?
Really fussy, hard to calm and soothe with just the usual things that I would do to calm and soothe him. He was wiggling out of my arms and I was occasionally sleep.
So you knew him to be sleepy when he behaved that way?
Yes.
Was Josiah particularly, was he verbal, was he able to communicate his thoughts, do you have no words?
He wasn't speaking fluently, but he could.
He was two.
Yes.
You received contact from Mr. Nevers on August 11th in the morning. Can you repeat what he told you?
Yes, he said, I need you to come by.
I'm sorry. He said, I need you to come by here.
I need you to come by.
Those are the exact words. Okay. And did you make arrangements to do that?
Yes. After not being in contact.
Okay, I remember that. And what time of day was that?
Morning, rolling into the evening.
Morning rolls into the evening,
Yes,
so skipping afternoon
11 a.m.
to the afternoon.
to the afternoon. Yes. When I was starting to see caution.
So you're saying it was between 11 and noon?
Yes.
Okay. What time did you make your way over there?
That I can't be particularly sure. I know after so many tries of trying to contact him on the phone, I just immediately realized that I couldn't get a hold of him, so I had to proceed myself. What was wrong?
That's fine, that's kind of in between. I'm asking you what time you made your way over there. What time did you get there?
I don't know the exact time.
Okay. Was it day?
Yes, it was still basic.
And you weren't allowed inside, were you?
No, I was.
You were?
Yes.
Okay, and were the other two children still there?
Yes.
Were you allowed to take them?
At first, no, but I took them because my daughter didn't church.
So, did your daughter have any injuries on her?
No.
Was she in any other way different or harmed?
No.
Was Marcel in any other way different or harmed?
No.
Your Honor, I have nothing further. Thank you.
Reader, can you redirect?
About some of the condition of Mr. Nevers' apartment. Do you remember those questions?
Yes,
How was it that you knew that he had food in his apartment?
I checked.
And as far as the other belongings in the apartment, do you know where those belongings came from?
Yes, in the closet.
And so we're talking about, did they have beds there?
Yes,
And did they have clothes there?
Yes.
Do you know if Mr. Nevers purchased all those things?
no, that wasn't to my knowledge, the majority of things.
And then, you had wanted to say something when, Madam Defense Counsel was asking you about him being capable. You didn't quite get to finish what you wanted to say. What was it that you wanted to say?
I got cut off, so.
Okay, fair enough. And then, you talked about two other, CPS cases, and you said something about a precedent.
Yes,
What do you mean by that?
Mr. Nevers attacked.
So that initiated a CPS investigation,
Yes,
and then the other was because of a testing of positive marijuana?
Yes.
What was the other one involved?
Kaylani ingesting marijuana.
Were any of those CPS investigations, did they have any allegations that you physically assaulted any of your children? So let me ask you this, there were some questions about, the children and the last time you had seen them. And you approximated July.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry, that's where I got cut off.
Oh, okay.
That's where I got cut off. I was going to clarify that I might have seen them before the time at Chuck E. Cheese, but I can't really recall the exact date that I seen them before Chuck E. Cheese, but it might have been still in August.
At any point prior, that date that you saw him, did you ever see Josiah, without any of his clothing on?
Let me clarify, I'm sorry. When I changed his diaper, yes. But other than that, to like take him baths and all of that, that was done.
And so you said when you changed his diaper, what part, would you see his torso at all?
Yes,
Did you ever notice anything with his torso with bruising or abrasion?
It seems to me like counsel is kind of aiding and assisting Ms.
That's your legal objection.
She's leaving.
So, legal.
Did you ever notice any marks or bruises or abrasions to the torso area?
no, other than his birthmark.
Where did he have birth?
He had Mongolian spots throughout his torso area and as well as on his back.
You said what, where they're called?
Mongolian spots.
Oh, I'm not sure what that is.
They're typically found in African American children. It's just.
Are they like little dots, like almost freckles?
No, they're like almost if you had a wingworm that did what you did, kind of looks like that. Kaline has it.
Okay. Oh, thank you. I just really didn't know what they were. Thank you for clarifying that for me. That's all I have. Thank you.
Ma'am. You had Josiah when Josiah was an infant. I thought the place that you were in didn't allow you to have children. So how long did you keep Josiah before you gave him to his dad?
Until he was about to turn 6.
And dad had the other 2 kids, right? Doesn't sound like you had the greatest relationship with him. Is that right? That's not right. I know you didn't.
After the first 2 years.
And it says the thing that had the kids for 3 to 4 months prior to this incident.
Yes.
How often did you see the kids?
It wasn't like a consistent basis thing, it was more availability thing with either of us. We dropped them off and I could have time on work to see.
And you were staying in the hotel, is that right?
Yes, I'm both time and paying content.
So on this day, August 6th, was it?
Yes.
On this day, you catch an Uber to the house to see the kids and take them to Chuck E. Cheese, is that right? You didn't have a car. You didn't have a car?
At the time,
Had a car? He didn't take you guys to Chuck E. Cheese? And you've never seen any other injuries to any of your other kids, is that right? So, tell me about Josiah. Was he what you consider a bad kid? Busy?
very busy, yes.
Very busy?
He just is on the person, he had his own way. Everything.
And he wasn't potty trained. He was 2 years old.
Yes. He was being potty trained. So
But no behavioral problems. And you didn't lose custody through the courts of the CPS of the children. This was a decision that you and Mr. Nevers came up with, right? say when you heard from the defendant, you couldn't understand what he was saying, is that because he was crying? Any questions based on my questions?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, you may stay. Where else?
Yes.
Mikasa is Sukasa.
I help you. Because I have this too. Oh, yeah, there we go. Thank you. You're welcome.
Next witness.
People call Samuel Mackey.
Please give your name and spell it to the court.
Oh.
First name Samuel.
Please raise your right hand. You swear or affirm yourself to the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. I do. Thank you, sir. Please have a seat. May begin when you're ready.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon,
Can you please tell me your name again?
Sergeant Samuel Mackey.
What is your occupation?
I'm a sergeant with the Detroit Police Department.
How long have you been employed with the Detroit Police Department?
September makes 28 years.
Are you employed in a specific unit of the Detroit Police Department?
I'm currently assigned to the homicide unit,
How long have you been in the homicide unit?
just over 16.
16 years?
It's over 16 years.
I'm going to direct your attention back to August 11th of 2021. Were you involved in an investigation regarding an individual by the name of Corey Nevers?
Yes,
What was the nature of that investigation?
the death investigation was assigned to my squad because of the location. The apartment where this took place falls within the boundaries of our squad. We cover the 2nd and 4th precincts. And this took place in the 2nd precinct, so the responsibility for the investigation fell on our squad.
And you said a death investigation.
Correct.
And who was the death investigation pertaining to?
2-year-old Josiah Nevers.
And you mentioned the kind of area was within your unit's kind of jurisdiction for the Detroit Police Department.
Geographically. Yes.
Geographically. What was the location of the incident?
In an apartment on, I believe it was Greenfield.
And that was within the city of Detroit?
Yeah, correct.
Did you learn through your investigation the relationship of Corey Nevers to the decedent 2-year-old Josiah Nevers?
Yes.
What was that relationship?
Corey Nevers is the father of Josiah Nevers.
What was your specific role in the investigation?
At that time, it primarily was to conduct an interview of Corey Nevers.
So is it fair to say at that time you were assisting in the investigation?
Correct. We operated as a squad. At the time, I believe there was 8 of us in the squad, 7 or 8 of us, and we each take on duties of the investigation when a new case comes in.
And so you said that you were tasked with interviewing Mr. Nevers?
Correct.
Did you in fact interview Mr. Nevers?
Yes,
How many times did you interview Mr. Nevers?
I believe it was twice.
Did you interview Mr. Nevers by yourself?
No, I remember Detective James Kraszewski, Arasdewski.
Was he with you for both interviews?
If memory serves, I believe so.
Do you see that person by the name of Corey Nevers that you interviewed in courtroom today?
Yes, I did.
Can you point to that individual and describe something that they're wearing?
He's sitting at defense table wearing the green county shirt.
Your Honor, please let the record reflect this witness has identified the defendant, Corey Nevers.
So,
So you mentioned 2 interviews. Were those interviews, what were the dates of those 2 interviews?
I believe it was August 11th and August 13th, 2021.
Understanding this was some time ago, do you remember the time of day of the first interview?
No,
What about the second interview?
I don't, but it would be on the advice of rights form. They're also both interviews are recorded.
Okay. And where was it that you interviewed Mr. Nevers?
I believe the first interview was at headquarters, and the second interview, I believe, was at the, if memory serves, I believe it was at the Detroit Detective Center, but it would be noted on the advice of rights.
So I want to specifically direct your attention to the second interview on August 13th, okay? At the time of that second interview on August 13th, was Mr. Nevers under arrest?
I believe so, yes.
Prior to speaking to him in that second interview, did you advise him of anything?
His constitutional rights will be commonly referred to as Miranda warnings.
When you advised Mr. Nevers of his constitutional rights, did you use a form?
Yes,
Did you have Mr. Nevers read any of the rights aloud to confirm he could read?
you know, I don't recall if we read it to him or if she read them out loud.
Did you ask Mr. Nevers if he understood his constitutional rights?
Yes,
What did Mr. Nevers indicate?
he did.
Did Mr. Nevers appear to be under the influence of alcohol or drugs?
No,
Did Mr. Nevers appear to be alert and understanding, coherent with your conversation?
he was, yes.
Was Mr. Nevers deprived of any food or water?
No,
At any point when you were speaking with Mr. Nevers, whether it be the first interview or the second interview, did Mr. Nevers ever say, hey man, I want an attorney?
no, he did not.
Did Mr. Nevers agree to speak with you?
Yes,
For the first interview
yes,
and the second interview?
yes.
I'm gonna show you what's been marked as People's Proposed Exhibit 3. May I approach the witness?
you may.
Handing you what's been marked as People's Proposed Exhibit 3. Can you tell me what I just handed you?
This is the constitutional rights certificate of notification for the August 13th, 2021 interrogation.
Okay, so you recognize that?
Yes,
And over here, there's some initials on the left. See
yes,
that?
I do.
Is that your writing?
No,
Whose writing is that?
Corey members,
And then I see a signature right there. Whose signature is that?
Corey members,
And then there's a date and a time.
correct.
Did you write in that date and time?
No, he did.
And when you say he,
Corey members,
did you personally observe Corey Nevers' initial and sign and date and time that form?
yes,
Is this a true and accurate depiction of the constitutional rights form that you went over with Corey Nevers on August 13th of 2021?
yes,
Move to admit People's 3.
Objection, for example.
Admitted.
Permission to publish?
Yes.
This time I will turn over this witness to defense if they have any questions as to the.
Or there's the commentaries.
Yes, Your Honor. Sergeant Matthews,
yes, ma'am.
did you inquire of Mr. Nevers as to his highest level of education?
That's a question we commonly ask, whether or not it was asked during his interrogation, I don't recall, I have to refer to the video. But that is a question we commonly ask.
Okay. And did you discern his understanding simply by his initialing each paragraph of Miranda, or did you discuss his understanding with him?
Well, when you say discuss, the question is always put, or the question is put you understand any questions about the rights?
Did you notice Mr. Nevers being particularly, withdrawn, or was he talking?
He was not.
Did he make eye contact with you?
I believe during both interrogations he did. Again, I've referred to the video for the amount of time.
Did you Mirandize him for the August 11th interviews?
Yes,
And so you executed the same form on August 11th?
correct.
Okay, thank you. Nothing further.
George, at this time, based on Sergeant Mackey's answers, as well as the signed advice of rights form, I would ask the court to find Mr. Nevers' statement on August 13th of 2021 knowing and voluntary.
And I would ask that the court just be mindful of the fact that that would be for exam purposes only. So thank you.
For exam purposes, only the court makes a finding the statement was knowingly involuntary.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sergeant Mackey, was that interview on August 13th of 2021 with Mr. Nevers video recorded?
Video and audio.
I'm gonna pull up what's been marked as people's proposed for, sharing screen for the record, Your Honor.
Any objections to those support?
Well, I'm gonna put it up and lay a little foundation
Oh.
before,
Alright.
if that's okay, shoot. Just wanna share screen for the record. And see that? Oh, well, let me actually make this a little larger. Oh, can you see that? Okay.
Yes.
I know it's a little bit fast. I'm gonna fast forward just a minute. So I am putting it at. I'm trying to put that for, we'll put it at 3 minutes and 53 seconds runtime. Okay, I see some people in this video. Tell me who we have here.
The right side of the screen is Corey Nevers. On the left, wearing a blue plaid shirt, is myself. Next to me in the middle is then Detective James Krzyzewski, the sergeant. And next to him is Detective Ben Biddle of the Child Abuse Unit.
And then up here in the corner, the left-hand corner, I see a Friday, August 13th of 2021, 11:01:54 a.m. What does that represent?
That's the date and time. That's timestamped on the video recording.
And then this right here, down here, where it's pause and play, that would be the runtime of the video.
That's correct.
And prior to, did you provide this video to the prosecutor's office?
It was provided, yes.
Prior to this video being provided to the prosecutor's office, did you alter, delete, add any content to this video?
No, it's impossible.
Is accurate as recorded?
Yes.
I would now move to admit people's proposed exhibit for your
For exam purposes, any objection?
No objection.
Admitted?
and permission to publish.
Yes.
So I was gonna start at 4, let me just, I'm starting at 3:53, this will ensure that the quality is working. Playing for the record. Anybody hearing anything? No?
No.
gonna stop share for a second. Not sure why this is.
I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I've done this a million times. And for some reason, I'm not.
Is there, is share volume?
Yeah, I'm sharing the screen, I'm sharing sound.
Judge, is it possible she would just email it to you? Your screen, your dominant screen can just put it up?
We can try it.
I don't know that I can just email it an email. Sorry, Judge, one more.
So if you look at the bottom of the screen on the right-hand side, it looks like the volume is turned off there.
On my, down here,
Right where it says.
You muted it because it was echoing.
Huh?
She muted it because it was echoing, you're right. That's probably what the problem is.
let me just do one thing here. I'm just gonna leave the meeting and come back. Join with our. We're at 3.
Go ahead.
So I went and met with Dr. Sung, he's a medical examiner. Is it all right if I take this off or you want to have it on? I'm vaccinated, if that matters. So I met with Dr. Sung, and he's saying the marks that were on the face and on the shoulders and that at first the emergency room doctor told us were burns, aren't burns. Any idea what caused it?
No.
No.
I wiped him with the Clorox wipes. So, and then he burned himself in the shower. The hot water was.
What day was that? So Sunday is when they went to bed. No. Yes, Sunday is when this happened. Look, because they came home Saturday night. So Saturday night they went to bed. Sunday morning, that's when he threw up. And then that's when I wiped him down and then I put him in the shower. Okay. And then did you go to work Sunday night?
Yes.
Okay. When you put him to sleep, how did you put him to sleep?
What do you mean, like how?
Yeah.
I just put him in the bed with.
Like, did you give him anything to help him sleep?
No.
Okay, and then so you go to work Sunday night, and then when you come home Monday morning, what happens?
He was still sick. He still wouldn't eat, and then.
Was he still alive?
Yes.
He was alive on Monday. When do you think he passed away?
He passed away. This was Wednesday. This was Wednesday when I came home and he wasn't moving.
So Monday he was alive, and Tuesday he was alive, and then when you went to work for midnight and you came home Wednesday morning, was he alive then or?
No, he wasn't moving.
Okay.
When you put him to bed on Tuesday night, was he alive?
Yes, sir.
What time did you leave?
I left around 10 o'clock, like I always do.
On Wednesday morning, was he alive when you came home? What time did you come home?
I came home around sometime around 8, because I get off at 7 and then I just walk straight home.
Okay. What did you do? Because the first 911 call didn't come in till after 10 o'clock. So for those 2 hours.
No, I worked 2 extra hours this whole week. So I got home around, so I stayed to work at 9. Then I got home around 10 something. I usually be 8 something, but it's 10 something. I stayed.
All right, well, the thing is, you called your girlfriend at about 9:30, asking if the kids had any insurance, right? And you said a few things to her to make her believe that you were there at the apartment. How long were you at the apartment?
When I text her that, I was walking home.
You were walking home?
That was their mother, that's not my girlfriend.
Right. I'm sorry. Yeah. Their
But
mother.
yeah, I texted her before I got home because of I should have been took him to the hospital, but I just.
What did you tell her when you texted her?
I texted her, do they have any insurance? And she said yes. They just have to pull them up by the name. So I don't have any.
Well, Dr. Sung is saying, and we met with him and spoke to him for a long time yesterday. He's saying the stuff on his skin isn't from being burned; it's from when someone dies, and then if they've been dead for a while, the skin starts to pull away from itself. We call it slippage. That's a term for it. But he says that happens when someone's been dead for days, not for hours. In fact, I've never seen it on a kid before.
He had those marks, that patch on his shoulder, the patch on his face, the patch on his back.
Yeah.
When I got him out that shower. So.
And that was on Sunday?
That was Monday morning.
So Monday morning.
Third shift. No, Sunday morning. It's my Monday. It's Sunday morning. He had those patches when he got out the shower, so I automatically assumed that he was burned. The water was hot.
When did you buy the Neosporin?
I bought it that day.
On Sunday or on Monday?
On that Sunday.
Where did you buy it from?
Family Dollar.
Which one?
The one right on Plymouth and Greenfield, right there across the street.
Okay. So they'll have you on camera buying that on Sunday?
Yeah, if you check.
I mean, you look confused. I mean, we can take them the box and they'll scan it and tell us exactly when that was purchased.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So,
I'm for sure that when he got burned, I was putting Neosporin on him.
What day was that again?
This was Sunday. Sunday morning. When he got burned, when he was burned, this was Sunday morning.
what day did they go to Chuck E. Cheese?
Saturday.
Okay, so I'm going to throw a monkey wrench into this. It wasn't Saturday. It was Friday. Because we saw the pictures of the kids at Chuck E. Cheese, and the pictures say it was on Friday, August 6th.
Okay, so Friday, third shift.
I know it messes with your head.
Friday, that makes sense, because that's the first day of my weekend. Friday, but I swear she said... So Friday, she got them. Then that means she brought them back Friday night. Saturday, we woke up. Yeah, Saturday we woke up. He wasn't eating. Then Sunday, I had to go to work that night.
Was you was at home all day Saturday?
Yes.
You was at home all day Sunday?
I left Sunday night. I had to leave.
Was you home from the morning to that night? So what was he doing?
He wasn't eating.
What was he doing? Was he just sleeping? Was he up? Was he playing around? What was he doing?
He was sitting up. He would try to play, but he would not eat. When it was lunchtime, when it was time to eat, I would sit him down. He would sit at the table. He would drink his water, but he wouldn't eat.
What was you trying to feed him?
I was trying to feed him when I first tried to feed him, it was pancakes. He wouldn't eat the pancakes, but he was throwing up. So my girlfriend, my real girlfriend, told me that don't give him no real food. If anything, give him crackers.
What's her name?
Amanda.
Amanda what?
Montgomery.
How old is Amanda?
44.
You talked to her on the phone or you called her?
Yeah,
she was
I
at
talked
the
to her
house.
on the phone. She's where she was at doing what she do, but I called her on the phone.
How do you have her listed in your phone?
Queen Me.
Queen B?
Queen Me.
Queen Me.
All right. So you wasn't eating. You was trying to feed him pancakes. He didn't touch the pancakes.
So ever since he didn't touch the pancakes, I kept trying to give him crackers and Gatorade. That was it.
And so Saturday, you was home all day with him Saturday. What was he doing?
He wasn't eating. Saturday, I swear that was the day she took him to Chuck E. Cheese. But okay, Friday was the day. So Saturday, yes, I was with him all day. He wasn't eating.
Because on Friday he ate pizza, wings. He ate some cheese rolls, cheese bread. He ate on Friday, right? Did you communicate with her about that? Him eating?
So he ate that at Chuck E. Cheese, right?
So did other kids.
Right. So that night was when she brought them back. He didn't eat nothing else after that because that was around dinner time. So when I asked her, did they eat? She said yes. So that was their dinner. Right. So then they went to bed. Then when they woke up, I tried to make them pancakes. He wouldn't eat the pancakes.
The other kids ate.
They ate. They were okay. He was the one that was sick.
Did you call her?
The mother, no.
Yeah. You didn't tell me he wasn't eating nothing.
I just assumed that he would get better because I didn't even know why he was sick. Like that night, I didn't see anything wrong with him. He sat down, he watched TV, then he went to sleep, and then when he woke up, he was like he was sick. He moved around and all that, but when I tried to feed him the pancakes, he threw up.
You give him any medicine?
I gave him medicine. This is Tuesday. Tuesday, I gave him some Nyquil, a little bit of Nyquil.
Oh, was giving him that?
And so he could go to sleep because he wouldn't sleep either. He was hurting. It's like his stomach was hurting, and he kept saying ooh, ooh. And I just gave him a little bit of medicine and a lot of water, and then I don't know if he went to sleep immediately, but I had to go to work. So when I gave it to him, I just left.
Gave him medicine, you just left. Did you give any other kids any medicine? All right. Do you ever give them any medicine?
Only if they're sick.
Only if they're sick. All right.
What about to help them sleep? Because I know you said you got to leave them by themselves, and you figure they're going to sleep through the night. So do you give them some of the nighttime?
They sleep with the music on. When I put the YouTube music on, they all usually fall asleep. He was having pain, so I gave him some medicine.
Okay. But the medicine you gave him, was it to help him sleep or was it to help him feel better?
It was to help him sleep mainly.
Did he have a fever?
Not that I could tell.
How long have you had kids in your care?
For like, as long as I had that apartment.
So how long have you been there?
For about 5 months, I'm guessing. Because but I'm guessing it's like 5 months. As long as I was there, they were there.
All right, so you know their behaviors and everything, them being sick, or have they been sick since they've been at the apartment? Since, besides this time, any of the kids?
I think it was some time ago where they all were sick. I think including me, I was sick.
Well, what, did you check that out? What was it?
They got better after some medicine. I gave them some medicine.
What type of medicine you giving that time?
The same, Nyquil.
The Nyquil? Where do you get that at?
Family Dollar.
Family Dollar. Have you asked the mom to take the kids to the hospital for any physicals or anything and get it checked out? Have you guys did that?
No, because she told me some time ago that she didn't have their cards or whatever. But that's when I had asked her, did she have insurance? If they had insurance, and she told me they could look it up by the name. Okay. So I never asked her to take them to the hospital.
All right. Did you think before you left to go to work that day that you gave him some medicine and walked out to go to work, and you knew he was sick on Saturday, you knew he was sick all day, Sunday, did you think and say, let me call 911, let me take the child to the doctor? Because you said he wasn't eating all day Saturday, he wasn't eating all day Sunday. Did you think at any point, like, let me pick up the phone and call the doctor, call their mom to come take him to the doctor? Any point? Or call Amanda? Anybody?
Of course I did,
So why
because I did. And then before then, I was thinking it. That's why I asked her, did they have insurance?
That was in the morning, though, coming home. But why do you think that night after you gave him medicine? You said you gave him some medicine.
That was actually, so Wednesday was when he died, right? Tuesday was when I gave him the medicine.
But then you went to work, right? So Tuesday, before you gave him the medicine, did you think to take him to the hospital that day before you went to work? Because you're home all day Tuesday, right?
Monday I thought to take him to the hospital, but I didn't, because if I took him to the hospital then I don't have anything. I don't have any money. I was thinking about how we're going to get back, because I have to take them or I'm going to leave him at the hospital by himself. I didn't have any money at the time. I get paid on Thursday.
He wasn't eating, right? Did you call EMS the day that he had passed? You called 911. Did you think you called EMS this day when he wasn't eating or nothing?
I thought about it, but I assumed he would get better, because I'm thinking it was just like he just got sick I don't know what reason he got sick. But
so when you say he got burned, right? When you got in the shower,
that burn had to happen Sunday or Monday.
Right. You saw the injuries to his face and everything. Those injuries, you saw all that, right? Did you think any time he's burned this bad that let me call 911?
No.
Because those were some bad burns, right?
But no, I didn't think to call him 911 about the burn.
Why?
Because I assume it happened from the shower.
Okay. So, do you see that on his head? You see that on his face?
This is the burn.
So that's the burns, right? If you say burns.
You mean on the forehead?
You saw those.
This on his forehead is a mark.
What type of mark is that?
He got that mark from playing, but that's old. These are the burns.
How did he get that mark from playing on his head?
Look, not playing. He might have fell or it scratched itself. This happened outside.
Okay. That one right here.
What about on the nose?
These marks on his, this mark, and this mark. This came from when he fell outside.
Okay.
So mark those marks when he fell outside. Put initials by it and say put outside with your initials on it. How about the nose? You said the nose?
Yeah, he got it.
Okay. All that's from outside. What day did that happen?
This was back when I had my vehicle. When they were, this was like 2 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
So those marks are still from 2 months ago?
That's the only thing I could think of, because that on his face, that came from the shower. Those marks, those are old marks.
The things you circled, so when he went to Chuck E. Cheese, he had those, it looked like that when he went to Chuck E. Cheese?
It had to.
But it didn't, dude. It didn't. We got the pictures of him at Chuck E. Cheese. He didn't have none of that on this.
If that's not from him outside playing an old mark, that's from the burns.
Well, Dr. Sung is saying, and I know it's hard to look at the photos, but what we're looking at here
is not a burn.
It's from someone that was dead for a while, for days.
That just don't make any sense.
You said it can't happen if someone just died like the night before.
Well, he died on Wednesday because as soon as he wasn't moving, that's when I called the police.
So Tuesday night he was alive when you left for work, but Wednesday when you got home he wasn't alive. So we're still talking hours. Even if it was 10, 12 hours, we're not talking days. You don't get this, the way this looks, unless someone's been dead for days. And I've never even seen it on a kid before.
So you saying that's a burn?
That is
the doctor's wrong.
I mean, I don't know what he saying.
How do you know that's a burn, though?
Because when he got out the shower, that's when he had that mark.
Did you burn him?
No. He went in the shower. Him and Marcel was about to get in the shower.
Mm-hmm.
I should have did a lot of things to avoid him from getting in there, especially while I was cleaning it. But he was in the shower, and I had to get him out of there. That was when he had those burns.
Mm-hmm. No burns on his feet, no burns on his lower extremities, just burns to his face like that. Listen, Corey, let me first tell you, man, you're a good guy. You got all your kids. You're trying to do your best. You are. Nobody's saying that. You're doing your best with what you got. But listen, dude, it's time to tell us exactly what you know. Because nobody's saying you're bad. I mean, you got all your kids. And Mom even said, you took these kids. You asked for them.
That's why they can't wait to take them away from me. That's why they can't wait to, break up another family over something like this.
We're not saying that. We're not saying that.
You don't have to say it. I know how this goes.
But what we're saying is, you got to help us to know what exactly happened.
I told exactly what happened. I don't know why he would pull up, that's not a burn. It is a burn. That's a burn from hot water.
Okay. And the one on the shoulder?
Then he said, okay, it could be a chemical burn. The only chemical that touched his skin was from the Clorox wipe.
Who said it could be a chemical burn? Who said that?
I was told that it could be it looks more like a chemical burn.
No, we asked you, could it be a chemical burn? What chemicals did you use?
The only chemical that I know for a fact that touched his body, or possibly could have, it could have been that spray that I used that was going down.
Yeah, the one we talked to.
It possibly could have been that, but for a fact, I wiped him with a Clorox wipe when he threw up on himself. That's the only possible chemical.
When you were cleaning him with the wipe, where on his body were you cleaning him?
Where the throw up was.
I don't know where the throw up was. Where was the throw up?
He threw up on the bed, and some on his face, a little bit on his chest, and I just wiped him down.
What about on the shoulders?
If it was some on his shoulders, I wiped his shoulders. I don't know for a fact where I wiped him. I just knew I had to clean him. The whole bed had throw up on it.
You cleaned the bed with those same Clorox wipes, right?
The mattress. I
And-
took the covers out.
And his brother was in that same tub you sprayed, right? And he didn't have no burns on him, right?
He didn't get in there while I was cleaning it.
But he did.
He did. I still should have closed the door. I still should have told him to wait. I just said,
Well, Dr. Sung said, because we told Dr. Sung basically everything you told us. Remember? And I told you that's what we were going to do. And he said he knows these aren't from like scalding water, because if scalding water hits you, it's going to drip, and you'd have drip burns on the body, and he doesn't have anything like that. And that's why he keeps saying that this is from somebody that's been dead for days.
why would I just pick a certain day to call and say, okay, come get the body, when I could have just hit the body? This is, now I don't want to talk, because if you're gonna go with whatever you want to make up, then do that. I told the truth. I told what really happened, and that's all I can say. I can't make up anything else, because then it'll be a lie. I'm only going to tell you what really happened. I wiped him with the Clorox wipe. If there is a burn from chemical,
Taken on the day he went to the hospital. I guess.
Did anybody see your son like Tuesday or Monday or Sunday or Saturday?
after Saturday, that was just me and the kids.
Did he ever leave the apartment building?
Him?
Yeah.
No.
What about the other two? Okay. Are there cameras in the apartment building?
Yes. Outside of the room, yes.
Are the cameras going to show the other kids and you leaving except him?
Oh, they're gonna. If you look at the cameras and you see those kids, you're gonna see when she brought them back, and that's it.
And that's the last time they left. Any of the kids left the apartment?
But you left the apartment to go to work, right? Well, let me ask you: was he asleep when you left to go to work? Was he asleep?
None of them were really asleep.
Mm-hmm.
They were laying down. I laid them down. 10 o'clock. I have to go
Which
to
room?
work.
Which room did you put them in?
The same room that they were in, that they sleep in.
The bedroom?
Next to the bathroom? Alright. And all three of them sleep in the bed, they sleep on the floor, where
They
they
sleep on the bed.
And all three of them was in bed when you left to... And when you got home the next morning, where were they at?
This was Wednesday.
Yeah.
So Tuesday, he slept on the mat because he kept throwing up. So I put him on the mat.
In the
The
same
mat
room?
that I think when the paramedics came, they got him off the mat.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I put him Tuesday night.
In that same room?
In the same room.
Okay. So he's on the mat, the other two kids was
On the bed.
And when you got home the next morning, where was he at?
He was on the mat.
What was he doing? Was he asleep? Was he up?
He wasn't breathing.
What was the other kids doing?
They were up playing.
Playing. Where are they at playing? In the
In the room. They don't leave the room.
They don't leave the room at all.
So these are not burns, right?
Well,
I told you they were burns.
Yeah.
So they don't believe that.
Well, it's not that they don't believe you.
I mean,
It's not that they don't believe you. This is his
I'm only
professional
telling
opinion.
the truth, and then they show up with a lie. So I'm done talking, because if
Okay.
they're not going to believe
Okay.
what I'm
All right.
saying, I mean, it's not about, okay, believing what I'm saying,
No.
but I know exactly what happened. And then I tell you what happened, and then the doctor shows up with a whole different, this is from a body decaying. So, okay, why wasn't there didn't nobody smell nothing for days? He was dead? Is that what he...
No. We're not saying that. Man.
Okay.
We're not saying none of that.
But those are not burns, right? They're not burns.
Well, according to Dr. Sung
According
and
to
his opinion.
It's not a
Right.
burn.
And that's why we back asking you.
Well,
But I
maybe
can tell
he
you
should
too,
be
the
in.
emergency room physician said that they were burns.
So they confused. They don't
One
know.
doctor believes it's one thing, one doctor believes it's another. That's why we're here to
Yeah,
decide
that's
what
why
Dr.
I'm
Sung
not...
said.
And so you saying it's burns, right?
Because I know for a fact that it's a burn. It's either, if it's not the burn, it's the chemicals in the shower.
Because he circled on
Yes.
this.
Yeah. Good deal.
All right.
stopping at 28 minutes and 45 seconds. And I'm going to stop share for the record, and I have no further questions at this time.
Cross-exam.
Sergeant Mackey?
Yes, ma'am.
So just before the recording ended, there was some discussion of there being more than one ME opinion on this case. Is that right?
No,
That's just something you told him?
no, you said ME opinion, there was an opinion of the emergency room.
Emergency.
I'm sorry.
That, my understanding is that one opinion was from the medical examiner, others came from emergency.
Okay, so that's the two doctors you were talking about.
That's correct.
Okay, so,
That's what we told you.
okay. I just misunderstood whether or not they have two evaluations by the MD's office. So back to my question. When Mr. Nevers told you that this series of burns, in his opinion, were from Clorox, you had already talked to the ME or seen the ME report regarding slippage, yes?
Not the ME report regarding slippage, we did talk to the medical examiner, but that was after the first interview. So the first interview was on the day, the investigation started, the autopsy didn't take place that, prior to us talking to him on that day, the autopsy didn't take place until later. So we were basing our possible burns based on what the emergency room physician, what their opinion was.
And that was that those were possibly burns.
Possibly, yes.
And burns could be direct from fire or chemical, yes?
Or heat or hot water, things of that sort of yes.
Right. And in fact, both things could be true, couldn't they?
I can't testify to that. I'm not qualified.
Right, so where the slippage was shown to Mr. Nevers, he called that burns.
That's correct.
Now, when Mr. Nevers indicated to you that he went to the Family Dollar to get medication for his son, did you follow up and get the video recording from Family Dollar regarding this?
I know that was discussed. I can't say for certain if there was video available or not. That wasn't the officer in charge of the case.
But you are now.
No, yes.
Do you know who that was before you?
Officer Madaha.
Can you spell that?
I'll try. It's M-A-D-A-H-A, I think.
And when did you assume the responsibility of OIC?
Just recently.
Meaning this month, last month?
No, this month.
So it's your understanding that the information I'm looking for would be something that Officer Madaha might have access to?
She would know the answer.
Okay.
That's not to say that it's not in my progress notes or in the file. I just don't know it personally.
Okay, and so being that you didn't get into the case until this month?
No, I was on the case from the beginning,
Okay,
but I wasn't the officer in charge of the case because sometime after the case came in, she ended up transferring out of homicide. The case was reassigned to Detective Krzyzewski. And then after that, sometime later, he got promoted, left homicide. And during this time frame, the case was at the prosecutor's office under review. And then when charges were issued, that's when because those two people were no longer at homicide, I took over the case.
okay, appreciate that. So were you one of the officers that made the scene when this first occurred?
No,
You were not?
I don't recall. couple into this. Again, this was a long time ago, I don't want to speak, but I don't remember going to the scene.
That's fine. Appreciate that. I don't have nothing further.
You redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. You may stay.
Thank you.
You have witnesses for the people?
No further witnesses, Your Honor.
You have witnesses for the defendant? People?
Your Honor, the people do move for bind over. Mr. Nevers is charged with 1 count of involuntary manslaughter and 1 count of child abuse in the 2nd degree. The involuntary manslaughter is specifically for the grossly negligent act in administering a fatal amount of diphenhydramine to a child, specifically Josiah Nevers, who was 2 years old at the time of his death and is the biological son of Mr. Nevers. The child abuse in the 2nd degree also pertains to that administering diphenhydramine to a child and or physically striking a child about their body. Without going through all the testimony, I kind of broke it down just quickly to a timeline, right? So we heard from Renisha Slaughter today. She's the mother of the decedent Josiah Nevers. She also has 2 other children, Kehlani, who was 4 years old at the time of Josiah's death, and Marcel, who was 3 years old at the time of Josiah's death. And she took you through kind of the dynamics and where they were living and why they were living there and all of that. But ultimately, what is important is that on Friday, August 6th of 2021, Ms. Slaughter took all 3 children. She took an Uber to Mr. Nevers' apartment. She took all 3 children, Josiah, Marcel, and Kehlani, to Chuck E. Cheese in Dearborn. They stayed there for a couple hours. All 3 children ate. She herself ate. They all ate the same type of food. She took pictures of the kid, one of which was admitted as People's Exhibit 2, which shows Josiah and shows his entire face, and you can see kind of his neck too. And besides one little knot on his forehead, there's not a mark on his face. Ms. Slaughter said she then drops the children back off at Mr. Nevers' apartment, and she goes about her business and takes an Uber back to the hotel that she was living at the time. That when she dropped Josiah off, yes, he was a little fussy, wanted his nap, but she noticed no issues with Josiah that day. He didn't seem unhealthy, he wasn't sick, just his normal 2-year-old self, besides kind of it being nap time to go home, right? Like, you gotta go home and take your nap. But most importantly, when she dropped him off, that is what his face looked like. And I think the court has seen, as part of People's Exhibit 1, the pictures of Josiah's face, the marks all over his face, the whole side of his face is an abrasion, which is noted in the ME report, as well as his shoulder. That is vastly different than the child that Ms. Slaughter dropped off after going to Chuck E. Cheese on August 6th of 2021. She does not see her son ever again. Even after he passed away, she was not the person who identified him. So Saturday, August 7th, per the defendant, he says Josiah is not eating. Most importantly, the defendant says in his statement on August 13th of 2021 that it is just him and the children. No one else is over in the apartment. It's him, Josiah, Kehlani, and Marcel. They don't leave the apartment. They don't go anywhere. No one else comes there. He is the sole adult who has care, custody, and control of Josiah during the time that happens to him in those pictures. What's also notable is none of the other children were sick. They all ate the same thing. Everybody else was fine. So then we fast forward to approximately Sunday, August 8th, or Monday, August 9th. There's this issue with the shower and the hot water and the rubbing with Clorox wipes or chemicals in the shower. He's approximating those dates. around that time. Again, I'm just looking at this timeline. Then let's fast forward to Tuesday, August 10th. What do we know about that day? Well, we do know from Mr. Nevers' statement that he went to the Family Dollar, he picks up some Neosporin, and he picks up some Nyquil. And on Tuesday, August 10th, before Mr. Nevers goes to work for his overnight shift, leaving all 3 children by themselves, a 2, 3, and a 4-year-old, that Mr. Nevers gives Josiah the Nyquil and then leaves. He says because he was in pain, he was hurting. Well, of course he was hurting. Look at all the other injuries he had pursuant to People's Exhibit 1, the ME report. Of course, Josiah was in pain. Multiple abrasions on the head, neck, back, right and left arms, legs. Cutaneous bruises on the chest, abdomen, right arm, forearm. Internal bleeding under the skin in multiple regions of the scalp, both temples. Superficial bleeding on the pancreas, and laceration of the liver. Josiah got a beating, and then Mr. Nevers gave him some medicine to make him feel better and gave him way too much. In fact, 10 times the therapeutic amount for an adult. This was a 2-year-old child. And then we know that on Wednesday morning, when Mr. Nevers came home from work, he noticed Josiah was unresponsive. At this point, he texts the mother, Miss Slaughter, asking about their medical insurance. Do the kids have insurance? What's their insurance information? She says she sends it along to him, and then he has a phone call, with her, hey, you need to get over here. Then she never hears from him again, and at that point we do know, and he called 911. Josiah was pronounced dead. So that's just the brief timeline. I think gross negligence, recklessness is clear in this case. The absolute horrendous marks to Josiah's entire body. And then just to top it off, like, this kid's in pain, let's shut him up. We're just gonna give him a bunch of Nyquil, which who gives Nyquil to a kid anyway? I think that anything that remains would be a question of fact for the trier of fact, and if people have met their burden, we would ask this court to find over.
Ms. Ray.
Thank you, Your Honor. So on the part of the defense, the concern that I have, let's start with count 2. It reads that my client would have caused serious physical harm to a child by administering a fatal amount of diphenhydramine to the child and or physically striking. My client would have had to have the intention to overdose this child. This was clearly accidental. He stated it. There was no reason to assume that he decided or was negligent. What he thought he was doing was making this child feel better. The fact that the other children ate the same thing, the other children were doing just fine, is irrelevant, quite frankly. I mean, they don't all have to be sick together. The fact that he was overwhelmed and overloaded with 3 children.
So let's read the statute, how it reads.
Yeah.
Did cause serious physical harm to a child. I think we can all agree that Josiah sustained severe or serious physical harm by administering a fatal amount. Not that he intended to give him a fatal amount, but that he did in fact do so.
Well, that I think could be a question of fact, but what I want to say to the court
Okay,
is
that's
that
all I'm dealing with, this question of fact.
I understand, but what I want to say to the court is that we don't know how this metabolizes. We don't know over what period of time he gave him this medication, and we don't know whether or not the child was able to excrete this medication because he wasn't eating, he wasn't drinking. And so to charge him with child abuse based on a biological function or lack thereof.
I think what I'm getting at is that it sounds like this child abuse in the second degree is a general intent crime.
Judge, may I just, and now we'll let Madam Defense Counsel continue. The intent for child abuse second degree is not a specific intent crime. It is recklessness.
Right.
And even if that's the case, I would argue that based on the fact that he couldn't possibly know whether or not this child was metabolizing the medication he was giving them to make him feel better over a period of days would be reckless. If the child wasn't getting better, he couldn't possibly know that he was doing more damage by administering more medication, is my point. And with respect to the manslaughter, I guess that
Over 10 times the amount for an adult though, given to a 2-year-old child. So what it sounds like to me is that this child who has suffered these kinds of injuries, regardless of how he got these injuries, he suffered these kinds of injuries, was probably in some severe pain. And he's a 2-year-old who gets antsy anyway. So he's trying to quiet this kid down, especially since he wants to leave these 3 children in a house, all under 5 years old, overnight by themselves. He wants to make sure that they sleep. He wants to make sure that Josiah is good in sleep.
well, if you look at those injuries and go
And he
with
put him to sleep all right.
the ME report, what we have is potentially, you're looking at injuries that are literally slippage rather than injuries, Your Honor. So to attribute all of those as physical injuries rather than slippage, burns rather than slippage, I think is
So he's
beyond
telling
the
me
scope
that
of
your
what we're
client is
capable.
alive.
I'm saying that my client could be mistaken as to how these injuries or affects occurred to his son's body.
Well, for this child to have slippage and rigor mortis and sleep to have the onset of rigor mortis and the like, he had to be dead for a period of time,
Understood.
which means that your client has to be lying to us, right?
And that's better than being a murderer if he just told the police a lie. So what I'm saying to the court is that he may have said that those were chemical burns because he did in fact wipe this child down with bleach wipes.
Okay, so let's talk about that.
Yes.
I have tons and tons of Clorox wipes at my house.
Me too.
If Clorox wipes cause these kinds of injuries to this baby, then we need to be suing Clorox.
I'm not saying that's a fact. I'm saying that's what he said, Judge. I'm saying,
Go back to him being alive.
I mean, if the ME is calling it slippage, then he clearly, something's off in terms of that.
Demi didn't testify today. Demi's out of town, so I opted to admit the report. Nowhere in the report does the medical examiner use the term slippage. That was a term used by the police. What the medical examiner lists out are the abrasions and the injuries, including internal injuries.
Oh, yeah. There was something, I think some kind of laceration of the liver or something like that already?
I read that too.
Okay.
So again, Your Honor, I'll just read you my objection to the binding order and we'll write down however the court sees fit.
Yes. This is one of those cases where you find it very hard to not get angry. That's what happened to this baby. Baby was 2 years old, left in the care and custody of his father. And comes away looking like this. Lacerated liver. Abrasions all over his face, his body. I'm not sure what the heck happened to the shoulder. That skin is missing. And then overdose on medicine, whether it's Nyquil or some generic form of Nyquil. He was given way, way too much of it. And as I see it, I suspect that he was given that amount of it to put him to sleep, not to make him feel better, but to put him to sleep because daddy got to go to work. I don't need you guys up and around while I'm at work. So he made sure that he put him to sleep. He put him to sleep, kill his child. More than satisfying, in fact, voluntary manslaughter. I understand why the prosecution chose to charge that charge, but quite frankly, I think that we should be looking at a much heavier homicide than manslaughter. I'll leave that alone. I'll go with what the proof support at this stage of the proceedings. The court is satisfied that people have met their burden of probable cause as it relates to count 1 involuntary manslaughter. I don't think we can get any more grossly negligent than what this defendant has shown his parental skills has been. The court is satisfied that people have met their burden of probable cause as it relates to count 2 child abuse in the second degree. That being, it's not a specific intent crime. Gross negligence here as well. He did cause physical harm to young Josiah by administering a fatal amount of this medicine and or striking the child's body as the medical examiner report indicates that he had all of this trauma to his body, to his face, as well as to his liver. They call the cause of death to be internally. No, that's the manner of death. Cause of death being the amount of medicine, this diphenhydramine that caused his death. So the cause of death has been determined. It's the manner of death that's been determined. Court finds people have met their burden of probable cause as such. I will bind the defendant over to Wayne County Third Circuit Court criminal proceedings. Before I give an arraignment date, are there any issues as to why?
Your Honor, I believe in this case that Mr. Nevers was given a personal bond, which I think is completely egregious, considering we're dealing with the death of a 2-year-old child. I don't even believe he's on a tether. I understand that this case happened some time ago. I understand there's the argument that, well, this was isolated to his particular child. When looking at danger to the community, he doesn't have a criminal history. But I mean, at a minimum, can we get a tether? There is some serious exposure here. Whether or not there's a criminal history, again, we're dealing with the death of a 2-year-old where an MDOC sentence and the likelihood of conviction in this case, I believe, is high. An MDOC sentence, whether it be by plea or trial, is, I believe, inevitable. I don't know what the court would like to do, but I do believe that a personal bond is just mind-blowing in this situation, based on the evidence.
Well, counsel pretty much made part of my argument in that my client doesn't have any prior criminal contact at all. And that my client be on a tether doesn't seem to be necessary because he's here without a tether. He did show up to court. It's not like he absconded, and it is an old case. You're talking 2021, and he's still here today for this examination. My client is not a threat to the community. My client does not have the means to be a flight risk, is not a flight risk. And as I indicated, he's here, Judge. So there's no reason to assert a punitive bond based on prediction of a conviction. There are very many variables in this case that don't lead straight to conviction, as far as I'm concerned. And I've asked the court to allow him to remain with his bond the same, in light of the fact that he did present. The worst he did was show up on Zoom not knowing to be present and showed up in court without proper dress, but he did come. And I think that based on the fact that he doesn't have a prior record, based on the fact that this is in fact an isolated incident, as unfortunate as it is, we don't need to emphasize the egregiousness. We do understand what happened. We did sit through this examination, but my client did show up as he was appointed to do.
Okay, so I must admit that if I am the magistrate in this matter, setting the bond, he would not be out on personal bond. I don't care if it was 10 years old, 3 years old, or 3 days old. A 2-year-old lost their life in the worst imaginable way. This is absolutely, looking at these pictures, absolutely horrific. The court does recognize that the purpose of bond is not punishment. It's to ensure that the defendant shows up in court and does not pose a danger to the community. However, it's not lost on me either that I can also consider the likelihood of conviction. And it is, compared to this court, at least from the evidence I've heard thus far, recognizing that the defendant hasn't put in the defense at all, nor does he have to. But that the likelihood of conviction is probable, if not great. I think a personal bond without a tether is wholly inappropriate in these circumstances. But I do give credit for the defendant showing up as he did, although he didn't show up properly dressed. And I advised him that this would be here in court. He hurried down here. We didn't have to wait very long for him to get here. So I do give him credit for that. But he stands in a little bit of a different position than when I originally summoned him down. Now he's been bound over on these offenses. And so at a bare minimum, I don't want to lose sight of the defendant. I don't really have a concrete reason to believe that he's going to not show up, aside from the fact that now he stands in a different position. Now he's been bound over on 2 felonies, a 15-year and a 10-year felony. As such, I am going to place him on tether, but I will keep his bond in place reluctantly. And that's my emotions talking, but I'm not going to base my judgment on the emotion. I'm going to base it on the facts and the law as I see fit. So I'm going to put him on a tether, but I'll continue to bond a personal bond with the tether.
Your Honor, so is it the type of tether that will allow him to continue to conduct his everyday work life balance?
Are you employed, sir? Where do you work? I can't hear you.
14225 West Warren.
What is that?
It's a plant and different
What do you do there?
machine,
What do you do?
fix machines.
You fix machines. How long have you worked there?
9 years.
Worked there for 9 years? Why did your ex-girlfriend or the children of your mother say that you worked for a temp agency?
That is the template.
So you've been working for a temp agency for 9 years? You haven't been hired in yet?
I'm the chief grapple.
Probably.
As a use president is.
Who's your supervisor there?
His name is Steve Orban.
Steve what?
Steve Orban.
Orban?
Yes, or you can talk to Joe Smith.
Joe Smith?
Yes, sir.
You have a number for either one of those gentlemen?
It's on my phone.
Where's your phone? Get it. It's taking you that long to pull it up?
All right.
And
Turn it on.
Sure. Okay.
The number for Steve Orban.
I understand it's buffering if you're trying to look up on it.
I'm using text now.
You're using the internet, and not if it's in your phone book.
Yes, it is in my context. Steve Orban, his number is 1-586-453-9516. Joe Smith, his number is 1734-77-2460.
What hours do you work?
I work 11, well, now I work 8 p.m. to 4 a.m.
Okay, so Mr. Nevers, his employee, his supervisor seems to be very pleased with him, saying he's a very good employee. So although I'm gonna put him on the tether, I know that if I take him into custody right now, he's gonna miss work tonight. I don't wanna do that to him. So I'm gonna allow him to turn himself into the tether for, because I do still want him to get on that tether, but I'm gonna allow him to go to work. And it's not that I'm keeping him away from anybody, I just want to help him to lose track of. So put him on a tether with no restrictions. But he can turn himself in to the tethering people, say by Friday.
When you do Friday morning, you get off at 4 a.m., right?
Friday morning, I think we can do it tomorrow morning. It's not the morning.
So you get off at 4 a.m., right?
Yes.
So then you can come get the tether and then be ready to go to work at it.
Oh, what he's gonna have to do is, because I'm not sure if they're gonna have a tether available for him at the time that he gets there. But I want him to check in and then let them tell him when to come in for the tether.
So can we say that they'll reach out to the tether unit tomorrow?
Let them know that Judge King's ordered him to
Once
have the
it's done by
tether placed
Friday.
on.
They call it an order.
Yeah, it's gonna be an order
Okay.
to have that tether placed on as soon as possible.
Do you have a blank over there?
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
Is that by Friday, so that they know to kind of get it done?
Whenever they,
I think
Whatever
they'll
they
tell
decide
them
to
when they
put
have
the
one available for them.
they'll give them a call to come in and get it.
All right, well, so that just happens to be after Friday, that's on them, not him.
I think he's just, Judge, you're just saying as soon as possible, so as soon as the other
I
unit
got it.
has
As soon
one
as they have
available, that
one
way it
available.
puts it on them and not,
Right.
and so the arraignment will be August sixth? Since he's not listening.
Third. Yes, August sixth, 2024, at 9:00 a.m.
Thank you again, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
So.